Hi, excuse me. Hi, I'm Arn Menconi, and welcome. It's been a while since I've had a chance to get back. I just came back from Washington, D.C. from a direct action there, where a group of us were able to make our voices heard against the endless wars. I'll talk about that in a second. Um, we're 11 days out from the election, or whatever you want to call it, the coronation. There's a lot going on. It's happening super fast. We got to be paying attention here. We've got to be sharing this information. There's also a lot going up in Standing Rock right now, and I know you're watching that and trying to figure out what's happening there. A lot of this energy, a lot of this tumultuousness is happening right now because of the fact that you have almost a good versus evil energy that's going on in all of the universe. This is an empire in decline. This is how all empires go out. This is what happened with the Roman Empire. You had the people's courts and government be handled by a dictator, by Julius Caesar. And so what I want to break down first is what's really important is we have a man who's dying in a federal penitentiary. He's a former CIA officer, a whistleblower named Jeffrey Sterling, and I talk to his wife regularly, and she has just gotten back to me that Jeffrey Sterling, this is very important news for you people to get out there, Jeffrey Sterling got his medical records back, and they were a bunch of bullshit, and he's mailing it snail mail to his wife to show this information that has been excluded from his medical records. What has been put in his medical records is the fact that a cardiologist saw him and said that he needs immediately to have a stress test, and that was a month ago. A cardiologist said that he needs to have a stress test immediately a month ago, and he has yet to have a stress test. He is on a certain medication that allows him to have less pressure on his heart. He has been having a blood test that they won't talk about and won't put into the medical records. And also, Senator Bennett's office has been made aware of this. We need your help. Holly is begging and crying to have somebody get her a attorney, and you guys are, somebody sent me notes about, you know, like an attorney that we could go through. I can't tell you how busy it is right now trying to be a traffic cop on all the news, and I appreciate you guys' help, but some of you just have to grab the bull by the horn and find an attorney that's got Colorado, that is allowed to practice law in Colorado. She's going to go through something called DORA. I forget what it stands for, but it's about Department of Regulations on applications or something like that. Because in the federal penal system, if somebody is not being seen correctly by for medical reasons, they are in violation of DORA. And I don't have a PhD in any of this, all right? So I just want you to know that this is oppression against a black man. So all of you people who care about Black Lives Matter, all you people who are sick and tired of white supremacy, all of you people who think I'm some kind of white middle-aged guy who is a white supremacist, go ahead and get in action immediately. The telephone number for the prison system, for the jail, is 303-763-4300. And you call up, and some of you who are smart enough to do this, put this underneath here. You put the phone number down, and all you have to do is call up and ask or leave a message that a prisoner named Jeffrey Sterling was seen by a cardiologist who a month ago said he needed a stress test immediately. A month ago. And I'm calling on behalf of the public who is making this aware everywhere by sharing this information to groups all over the place, not just your Facebook pages, folks. I'm imploring you with 11 days out as a U.S. Senate candidate for the Green Party in Colorado to not be asleep at the wheel here, all right? You share this shit everywhere. So that's what's going on with Jeffrey Sterling. The other thing that I woke up to this morning, excuse me, let me fix something here. The other thing that's going on in the news here, you guys are asking questions that are real important questions, but I'm just going to stick with the basics, okay? The basics with Jeffrey Sterling is they don't give a flying fuck if he dies in jail because he's a black man and because he pulled the cape on the CIA because he tried to talk about certain things. That's all we need to know. And the other thing that we need to know is this is how the system is working. This is why Hillary Clinton is going to become president of the United States no matter how much WikiLeaks, no matter how much information is being told about her being a war hawk, no matter how much fucking information is out there about how she's connected to Wall Street, how much billions of dollars, how much fucking rigged system there's been by the DNC, even though Bernie Sanders doesn't have the balls to come out and fight against it because they threw up this fucking shit show called Donald Trump, and more people are worried about Donald Trump and what a fucking shit show he is than whether or not we're going to go out there in just the next 11 days and do direct action and direct action and direct action. Because none of it's going to make a difference. But we're going to try to save one goddamn fucking life in this election, and that's Jeffrey Sterling's. Do you get it? That's how fucking simple it is. All right? The other thing that is going on here to prove to you how fucking rigged the system is a journalist by the name of Yasser Ali for the Daily Beast is lying about how he's a journalist. He's a fucking shill, and he's a Hillary shill. At 27 years of age, on the 2008 election, he was the youngest co-director for her national campaign, and he just dropped a story about how Jill Stein's investments, her retirement fund, is divested into the same type of companies that she's trying to fight against. Now, that motherfucker doesn't have a master's in business administration like I do. He hasn't taken investments upwards of tens of millions of dollars for a county and invested them. And he's out there he's trying to make her look bad because she's actually telling the truth about what's going on all over the place. You see? And so this is why I know this. If any of you people who are watching from mainstream media, Chris Cuomo retweeted it. Lauren Rosen retweeted it. Yari Gold, I think his name is Rosenberg, retweeted it. This is a cabal, okay? This is who these people represent. They represent the oligarchy. Chris Cuomo's brother is a governor of the state of New York. His father was the governor. That's all the DNC people. He's on CNN in the morning. He's the one that said that only the media is allowed to cover WikiLeaks, not you. Okay? Lying. All right? He retweeted it. Lauren is a reporter on the Middle East for the Washington Post. She retweeted it. And Yari is this guy who is a attack dog for Israel and for the Zionists. And he's linked up with guys like Jeffrey Goldberg of the Atlantic Monthly, who is the editor of the Atlantic Monthly. Trust me on this shit, okay? I just went to Twitter and I looked at all of what what Yashar is talking about. I looked at, he never attacks Hillary Clinton. He never attacks WikiLeaks, but he wants to fucking get into the weeds about what Jill Stein's investments are. And Jill could use some help, and let the truth be told that this dude worked for Hillary's campaign, that he works for the Daily Beast, which Sean King, who's supporting Hillary Clinton, Sean King, who's been a leader for the Black Lives Matter movement, has called the Daily Beast just somebody who is a hit man for Hillary's campaign because he had supported Bernie Sanders. And Jordan Charlatan, I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing his last name, revealed in WikiLeaks the connection between the Hillary campaign and the Daily Beast. So the skit's played out right now, 11 days before an election, because Hillary wants to win by a mandate. She wants to win by more votes than any Democrat has ever won, so she could say the people spoke out for a woman to go out there and what? Continue endless wars and not fight against global warming. And she's going to be able to say how she won handedly, the first woman president. And people are going to point to that bullshit when people like you and me are saying this was all how the system's fixed. So if it's Cheriton, thank you, Marcy, I appreciate it. He's one of the best journalists out there. The other thing that I want to get into is what do we do in these 11 days that are left? We don't do anything but work around the clock, okay? The rest will happen after November 8th, okay? What you have to do right now is figure out ways to do direct actions. So I haven't got to explain what happened on Monday when 6 of us got arrested on the Capitol steps in Washington, D.C., and about 50,000 people know about this thanks to Real Progressive and Mint Press News, 2 outlets that were willing to allow us, the people who spent thousands of dollars in our days, and some of these women are going to have to come back to Washington, D.C. for their trial, and if they don't get some kind of public assistance for doing that, and we'll want to raise money for them. But what we all did was we got scrappy. We put paint on our faces to make it look like, to talk about the dying in the Middle East, and we got arrested. And so here's what you need to understand. The anti-war movement is dead in America because the media made sure that it was dead, and we're trying to give it resuscitation. We're doing CPR on the anti-war movement with 11 days left, folks. We're letting the people in the Middle East, the Muslims, know that there are some voices in America that are speaking out about the endless wars and the bombing in 7 and 8 countries, and that we are at war without Congress giving the president approval. And we are using an authorization for military force from 2001 that was written to go against war against Al-Qaeda, and we are funding al-Nusra in Syria, which is a branch of Al-Qaeda. That's how fucked up it is. And nobody's telling this fucking story. So we had to literally act like we were dead on the steps of the Capitol and get arrested so that a few more people would hear about this story. The story that we are bombing in Afghanistan, where there is more Taliban now than before 2001, where the sales of heroin are up greater than ever before. We have 10,000 troops or more in Afghanistan. Obama has extended the war in Afghanistan for more years when he promised that he would stop the wars, all right? And we are bombing in the Taliban in Afghanistan this week. We are bombing in Iraq. We're saying that we're trying to stop what's going on in Iraq. We're trying to stop ISIS in Iraq, which is a country that has been hijacked by the Shiite movement that once was representing Shiite and Sunni and Christian and Kurds is now a country where the Shiite prime minister and parliament don't want us there. We have troops on the ground there called special services that are in the numbers of 500, 1,000, 1,500, and they say there's no troops on the ground. We are coordinating through the Iraqi government to know when to bomb, when Iranian troops who are in Iraq are fighting ISIS, and the Kurds are fighting ISIS. The northern Kurds in Iraq are the ones who we are trying to align with, who are doing the best job in trying to fight ISIS. Yet we are supporting Turkey, who is bombing the Kurds in Syria and on their border and killing Kurds inside Turkey. And guess what? Turkey is working with Russia. And we have nuclear weapons in Turkey because we have a base, an army, Air Force base in Turkey. We have 80 nuclear warheads in Turkey. And Turkey is being run by a theocratic dictator right now, Erdogan, who supposedly people think who work for mainstream media was elected in a democratic process. Fucking do your homework. On top of that, we are in Syria, bombing Syria. This is country number 3. We're not even calling it a war. We are bombing in this country. And then you have Libya, which Hillary Clinton did a regime change on in order to remove Gaddafi. And this was not allowed. This was something that the Security Council in the United Nations, with China and Russia and France and Germany and Britain, did not want or know what we were doing, and we went ahead and did a regime change in Libya, and we've completely destroyed this country. That is now like a used car lot for weapons sales. So that in a country that was trying to go on onto the gold standard instead of the petrodollar, every time a country that has oil tries to get off of the petrodollar, which is basically working with the U.S. currency, it seems like a leader gets killed or removed. So that's the 4th country, Libya. Then you have Somalia, which most people couldn't even find on a fucking map if they had to, because we're saying that ISIS and the other group, somebody help me out there, that we're trying to fight in Somalia. And we have special forces there, and we're droning there. And that is, then we have Yemen, which we're arming Saudi Arabia. Are you getting this? Do you get how complex, how big this is? And we're going and supporting Saudi Arabia with hundreds of millions of dollars of weapons, with coordinating how their air forces are, because they're not putting troops on the ground in Yemen, they're just bombing the fuck out of Yemen. A country of 28 million people. Syria was a country of 22 million people. And we're taking this country, and just since March of 2015 have almost completely destroyed the country, because Houthi rebels, who are Shiite, that are not confirmed to be connected to Iran, are tried to and overthrew a leader that ran to Saudi Arabia about a year and a half ago. And just 2 weeks ago, naval warships, U.S. naval warships, bombed Yemen, and said that it was in retaliation of an attack by Houthi rebels, which hasn't been confirmed. It's the same shit that went down on how the Vietnam War got started under the Johnson administration with the Mekong Gulf, which was a false flag war that's been uncovered in the Pentagon Papers with Daniel Ellsberg. All right? One last country we're bombing. Let's see, did I get them all? You have Afghanistan, you have Iraq, you have Syria, you have Libya, you have Yemen, you have Somalia, and you have Pakistan. We're bombing in Pakistan, drone bombing, saying we're going after people like Al-Qaeda or, well, I think it's Al-Qaeda, because I can't remember all of this stuff. And we have the authorization of the Pakistan government. These are called assassinations, okay? This isn't just the killing of innocent people. This is an assassination program under the Obama administration that mainstream media isn't talking about because it's, look, this is why it's assassination. This is what Noam Chomsky talks about. Noam Chomsky talks about that it's an assassination program that the American government, Barack Obama, the Nobel Peace Prize winner, is doing, that he has to sign off on all these drone attacks before they're done. It's saying that potentially, these terrorists could do something bad. They haven't done something bad. They're in collaboration, so they're doing something. Are any of these countries trying, or any of these terrorists, a direct threat to us right now, to our sovereign nation? No. You know who's a direct threat to our sovereignty? The fucking global multinational corporations. The multinational corporations are the threat, because they have completely taken and turned the rule of law upside down and used it for themselves and made it okay so that we don't jail bankers like Iceland keeps jailing their bankers that caused the crash of 2007. That we don't jail people who commit war crimes like Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, George Bush, Wolfowitz, and others. Barack Obama is committing war crimes. Hillary Clinton, John Kerry, our military, our Secretary of Defense. All those people, the CIA, the FBI, all of them are committing crimes. They're doing it when they put the Patriot Act in place. They're doing it when they are using, when they're taking away our civil liberties by following all of our metadata, by learning about what we're doing as citizens with our First Amendment right, and following us on our computers, on our texts, on our calls, as Snowden has pointed out, and others, and how they're not following the law, and they keep breaking the law. So our Congress, our President, the Supreme Court, the media, the CIA, the FBI, the National Security Advisors, and the military are all doing this. Now, to what extent, how far, how much are they in cahoots? That's question doesn't need to be answered. What needs to be answered are, what are you going to do now? What are you going to do in the next 11 days? Are you going to call for Jeffrey Sterling? That only takes minutes. Are you going to retweet when I post these things about Jill Stein so that we could scare the shit out of the journalists that I was talking about, like Yari and Yashar and Lauren and others, so that they will attack me and try to malign me? Are you going to go to a direct action where there's a congressional person who is campaigning instead of being in Congress right now, looking at an authorization for military force and not allowing a dictator, Barack Obama, which is being run by a corporate totalitarian state, go to endless wars and global destruction? Are you just going to sit back and talk about Standing Rock, or are you going to go to Standing Rock? You have to decide how you're going to take part of your savings, part of your time off that you could take from your job, and fight. You're going to do that some way, somehow, or you're going to be silent. So only 31 people are watching this, and I think that's powerful. And I'm blessed that you're watching this, because you'll share this to groups all over the place, and you'll be more articulate and more to the point than I am. I just want to say one last thing about Jill Stein's piece there's two mistakes I think I may have made. The Iranian Shiite military is fighting with the Iraqi military and us against ISIS in Iraq. I may have said Iraq when I meant to say Iran. The other thing is Jill's investment portfolio, her IRAs, like many people, are in mutual funds. And mutual funds is a casino. It's all a bunch of bullshit because of what's going on with high-speed trading right now. And not to get into that, but when you take your money and you put it in mutual funds of almost any kind, of course it's going to be in some version of multinational corporations. And maybe she should have been more aware of this, but I'm sure she's trying to be aware of everything and anything. And when you put your money in a lot of the green type of mutual funds, a lot of the green environmental groups have not come out against fracking, have not come out against Hillary Clinton. So what I did a couple of years ago, and I didn't know if I'm doing it ethically pure or whatever, but I started to take my money when I started understanding about high-speed trading and what a cabal it was, and I just started putting it in money markets. Because I figured, what the fuck, I'm going to put in a retirement benefit of some kind because my government won't let me take my IRAs and take it out and do some kind of investment, like maybe buy a home or something like that with it, because they think I'm not smart enough as to what to do. So Jill took about $350,000, and her husband put it into these type of accounts, and they're making the accusation that she is speaking out of both sides. Do one thing, say one thing, do something else. Well, the mainstream media of Joy Reid, of MSNBC, of CNN, of Washington Post, of the New York Times, those are the big ones, all right, are out there not talking about WikiLeaks, not talking about how Hillary Clinton how the Clinton Foundation is taking money from Qatar and taking money from Saudi Arabia and taking money from foreign governments. And all they're saying is, well, the Clinton Foundation has done good. Well, of course they've done good. Fucking Al Capone was an amazing family man and would beat up any fucking mobster who abused his wife. He wasn't like evil from the time he got up to the time he went to bed. They're going to do something good in order to cover up for all of the bad that they do. So please share this. I still have 11 more days to have a soapbox as a U.S. Senate candidate, and after this is done, there might be ways to continue the activism, but I'm a dad first and foremost, and I have an 11-year-old, and this month soon to be a 10-year-old, and soon to be a 12-year-old, and this is for them that I'm fighting. This is for the future of the millennials, the people under 30 who we fucked over because nobody was going to stand up and fight against. So for everyone under 30, please know that at least somebody's fighting for you. And for all the people in the Middle East, the 60 million people who are in refugee camps because of endless wars, and the people that we've killed, and the babies that have washed ashore in Greece and others, this is for you. And this is where the power comes from. It's not to win a fucking U.S. Senate race. It's not to get some gig. It's to try to see if anyone fucking cares. And I know you guys care. And you inspire me. So keep spreading the love. Because we'll get heard. We'll keep pounding. We'll keep pounding. We'll keep pounding. This is a David and Goliath fight. And breaking news, David won. So we're all Davids right now. Let's sling some shit. Peace.